What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Horrorheads podcast. I am Rich Mallory here with my co-host Jerry Lorenko.
What's going on, Rich?
Not much, ready to do another episode of Horror Shots. That is the
Hell yeah.
bi-weekly episode we do where we just kind of take it a little bit easy. We more chill mood. We pick one movie and we chat about it while we're sip some bourbon. You can follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast. Email us to horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. You could listen to this wherever podcasts are available. However, we do highly encourage you to go to YouTube and watch the video so you could see how fucked up we get. We probably won't get too fucked up because we're just talking about one movie, but there are some episodes where things go off the rails and get out of control. You never know what you're going to get when you watch the Horror Heads. So yeah, Horror Shots. So we do is we kind of alternate and we each take turns picking a movie to talk about, and usually it's just some kind of movie we just feel like chatting about. So tonight we're going to talk about The Burning from 1981, very overlooked slasher movie, which I don't think should be overlooked. It's definitely one that should end up in people's rotations, and we'll get into why. I'll give the plot of it really quick. A summer camp caretaker named Cropsy gets horribly burned after a prank goes wrong. 5 years later, he lurks around an upstate New York camp with garden shears and tries to kill all of the teenagers that were responsible for his disfigurement. Although it is weird that they'd still be there 5 years later, but they are. So this movie sounds, yeah, a lot of people think it's very similar to Friday the 13th. This actually was written before Friday the 13th came out and was popular. It was actually the film that launched the careers of Harvey and Bob Weinstein, which again, I know there's a lot of negativity attached to their names for well-deserved reasons. However, this was kind of what got them started, and it was a script that Harvey co-wrote with some people, really to capitalize on the success of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween. However, Friday the 13th did beat them to release and what came out first, and that's the movie that became a lot more well-known than this movie. Very similar, though. It's about a serial killer stalking kids at a summer camp, right? So that's kind of the movie. I do think, look, it's a really interesting movie. There's a lot of really cool kills and really cool gore. The garden shears as a weapon, very cool, very brutal. The movie's very similar to a lot of 1980s movies that take place at a summer camp. And what I mean by that is there's probably about 40 minutes of summer camp hijinks that happen.
That's your favorite.
Yeah. So how these movies work, and it's the same thing with like a sleepaway camp was very similar, where it starts off like hot and heavy, like big kill, then 40 minutes of just a bunch of people at the camp fucking around and doing camp shit. And then the last 30 minutes is when the kills kind of start and the
Pretty
horror
much.
movie starts. But you know what? Look, usually not mad at it. It's usually
It's
pretty
a good
entertaining.
formula. It's a formula that works. I mean, I like a big kill. I like hijinks, and then I like a big crescendo with more kills. So, why not?
You can't go wrong. And this was, I believe, the first movie featuring George Costanza from Steinfeld. What's the actor's name? I can't think of it right now.
Jason Alexander,
It's his first movie. You get to see his ass, which is
his ass.
something I didn't think I'd ever see, but I got to. But yeah, his first movie. I think it's also Holly Hunter,
Holly
Academy Award winner,
Hunter.
her first movie. So like, there's a lot of pedigree here. But for some reason, this movie does get forgotten. So kind of again, one of the things I want to talk about tonight is what like, number one, why we think people should kind of check out this movie, but two, why do we think it was forgotten? Also, before you get into that, Tom Savini did the effects on this,
Oh
and he
yeah.
actually was offered a job on Friday the 13th Part 2 to do the effects. He turned it down to work on this. So again, the gore top notch. So yeah, like number one, why did you recommend you pick this one? Why did you want to talk about it? And then why do you think it was forgotten?
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk about this just for that exact reason, because it is a film that I do forget about often, and it always pops up like as a suggestion for me to watch. And I always think I'm going to watch it, but then I never watch it. But then when I do watch it, I'm happy I watched it. So it's just like this fucked up circle that I constantly play in my own life. And I'm sure other people are kind of like that too. I'm always thinking, oh, there's something better out there, or maybe, this movie sucks. But every time I watch it, I'm reminded that this is a really good film. So I think I suggested this because I just wanted to remember it's, how I felt about this film. And thinking about like, why do people forget it? I don't know. I mean, it has everything. It literally has everything. It has a great killer, has a great cast. I mean, there's everything you want to see. I mean, there's menace, there's nudity, there's gore. I mean, and the gore definitely hits those levels of, a Friday the 13th easily, easily. And it's a setting that we're all familiar with, campgrounds. Um, these aren't camp counselors. I believe they're actually campers, even though they look a little old to be
A little
camping.
older, but
A little
we're used to
old,
that.
but I guess I believe that they're campers. But I really don't know why people don't give this one a chance. I mean, it could be something as stupid as the name of the film. It's kind of a stupid name. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's a dumb name. I get how it connects to the story of the film, but I don't think it really explains the film that much.
It doesn't
So
make me think slasher either.
no,
And I think, yeah, whenever I hear, oh, do you want to watch The Burning? I'm always like, I don't know. It sounds like a drama or like, it doesn't sound like the movie that it is. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
I mean when to me the name, and I want to harp on it, and even though it's like early 80s, it sounds like a late 70s name, and you kind of think like you're gonna be in store for something like that, like The Changeling, something like that. Yeah, that is a great film, but you really have to be in the mood to watch it. Sit down, 2 hours, super
Hmm.
slow burn, something scary happens, super slow burn, something scary happens, detective work for an hour, and then, maybe something. And I think that might be a lot of people's like perception of this film. It's like, oh, The Burning. Maybe they're just not understanding that this is a straight up slasher. This is nothing else. I don't want anyone to be confused here. This is a slasher, and this is a slasher that really should be up there with Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp, Halloween. It's good. It's funny. It has a lot of comedic elements to it. I mean, the characters are, I mean, they're kind of funny. I mean, Jason Alexander, who plays Dave, is like this goofy guy, but he's like such a player, and he's
He's the
so
porn guy.
smooth, and he's like everyone loves him. I mean, he's always hanging out with girls and stuff like that. Like he's a great character, and he has so many great one-liners, and you're just like, yeah, but it's like how funny could it be? It's funny as shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like very similar to Sleepaway Camp, but like those one-liners where they're like making fun of each other and things like that. I think there's like this one line where he's talking to this guy, and they have weird names. Like not everyone has a regular name. Like there's a girl named Tiger, but there's this guy named Woodstock, and he calls him the world bantamweight jerk off champion. I mean, what, bang, like what, like who wrote that in a film, like who put that in a film and everyone's like, yeah, and saying he is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like that to me, it's like, it's that type of like kind of camp hijinks humor that I find funny. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
watched
my
it this time.
favorite
I enjoyed it.
my favorite scene in the movie, it's like, so George Costanza, the character, he's the guy that kind of goes into town, I guess, and gets things like porn for the guys. And there's a scene where he gets this one guy who ends up being like later like one of the worst lays on the planet. He gets him like a bag of condoms, and the guy's like, "These aren't lubricated," and George Costanza's like, "Get your own lube," like, or it's just like really funny. I forget the line, but that part just cracks me up. But just the idea, just thinking of again George Costanza from Seinfeld being the guy that goes to get you condoms, is just so funny to me.
Really, I mean, he's probably been typecast since, Seinfeld. So at least he had like 10 years earlier, he did this. I think it's funny. He moons, there's like a mooning scene where they all moon that same guy, which is, again, it's hysterical. They just don't do stuff like that in films anymore, even though it's like, it's funny. It's stupid, but it's funny, but yeah, just kind of like thinking about this film a little bit. I mean, the premise is kind of interesting. You have this guy Cropsy. I think he's some sort of groundskeeper for the camp, and he's a real dickhead, and everyone hates him. So to play a prank on him, which I thought was the dumbest fucking prank I've ever seen in my entire
Right?
life,
Like, who would
is
do
they
that?
they take like this. I mean, it's not even really realistic looking. They take like this skull and they put like I think like two birthday candles in it, and it's dirty and there might be some worms on it, but basically they take this skull and they put it in this guy's room. while he's sleeping, and then they go outside and they wake him up. And a normal person would just kind of wake up and look at it and be like that's fucking stupid. For some reason, this guy Cropsy, he like overreacts. He flips out. He bangs into this thing. These two little birthday candles somehow cause a roaring fire that not only like burns down the camp, but also disfigures him severely. And obviously that's why he wants revenge. But I was like, man, I'm like, if I believe that, I'm pretty much gonna believe anything that happens in this film because it was literally like a birthday candle that like set this entire place on fire. So it's pretty it was pretty unbelievable. But if you buy into that, the rest of the film, you're like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I think again, the one of the reasons other than the title not being really compelling as to why this movie didn't really pop when it came out is the killer is just not that really interesting. Or there's like it's just kind of generic. And I get like you take the original Friday the 13th, and I think I wasn't really around at the time, so I don't know why it became so popular, but I think because there was like a twist at the end. And it was a pretty like interesting twist. And then again, they brought back this character of Jason and they just made him cool. And I think that this killer just isn't really cool. Like you don't see him much. And that was by design. Apparently they did shoot scenes where you do see him a lot more, but they just didn't like how it looked and thought it was more mysterious if you don't see him.
Mm.
So it almost the movie kind of plays a little almost giallo-ish. And especially I would say the first kill of the movie is kind of a ripoff of Maniac, where he goes into a prostitute's room and kills the prostitute, and it's shot giallo. So you just see like the black gloves, and then she gets pushed through a window, and then blood hits the mirror, and it feels very Argento. And I think they kind of tried to keep that, even though this movie doesn't feel giallo. They kind of tried to keep that to a fault. So you don't really get
It's a
invested
little
in
misplaced, yeah.
you don't really get into this killer at all, and there's really no twist. Like you know who the killer is. It's very obvious. It's Cropsy. So it's like you don't get enough backstory to really like be like, oh, like you don't feel bad for him really, or you don't really. So it's
Yeah,
like
they
you don't
set him
really,
up. They set him up really bad. They tell us that like everyone hates him.
but they don't show
So
why,
yeah,
right?
so all of a sudden like we hate him, and we're just like, oh, look at this dickhead. Like now does everyone hate him now, but now he's killing people. So yeah, I get you. You could be right. There's no affinity for the killer. I thought he was kind of cool though. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think when they did kind of show him, I think he was kind of cool. I think his weapon was cool,
Weapon's
and
awesome.
I don't even want to say, but towards the end, the motherfucker has a flamethrower, So, I mean, he has garden shears and a flamethrower. I don't know. I mean, put a mask on him, he probably would have did better, but I think just those two weapons alone, he deserves a lot more credit for being like a top slasher.
Yeah, and again, and again, I do like this movie, and it's serviceable, right? It's a decent slasher movie. It's got some really good parts. For me, my big flaw in the movie as a customer, as someone watching it, is okay. You have like the opening kill, you have the 40 minutes of camp nonsense, which again I'm fine with. You have a lot of kills that happen pretty in a quick amount of time, and they're pretty brutal. There's a scene where he like just takes out an entire boat, and it's just like four people are on this boat, and he's just fucking them up. And then towards the end, there's like this 20 minutes kind of where it takes forever to kind of get to the climax. It just seems to kind of really drag on at a certain point. Like there's lots of people rowing around,
Yeah.
or just kind of looking.
Final guy fatigue is what this
Yeah,
was.
they're
Yeah.
looking for him, and then
Yeah.
you get to the final conflict, and Cropsy has this flamethrower, and the guy he's trying to kill has an axe. And to me, it seems pretty straightforward. Flamethrower should beat axe every time,
Pretty
but for
much.
whatever reason, it just dragged the scene, and he never gets to really use the flamethrower on a guy, and then it just kind of ends. Like the movie ends very abruptly. And if like you look at your phone, you miss it. You're like, wait, they just killed Cropsy? Like it just to me it's
It was
anticlimactic.
anticlimactic. Yeah, I have that as a note too, because like the first time, like he kind of catches it, you think he's dead, but then he comes back. You're like, oh, here we go. Here's the big kill, and again, it kind of fell a little flat. Do they
It
land the
almost feels
plane?
like they ran out of money and they just didn't
Yeah,
get to shoot the scene they wanted to shoot.
they didn't land the plane in this movie, but I think what they did right was a lot of other things. They really captured like that camp slasher feel. It feels exactly like that. I mean, there's a lot of trope characters in here that you're just kind of like waiting for them to get killed. There's
And
overly
trope now, they're trope now, but this is 81, right? So this is
yeah.
like way back in the
So
slasher days. So this is like,
they're inventing the trope. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this is, one of it is probably one of the first, I hate to say modern slashers, but like 80s slashers. Because you have Friday the 13th, you have Maniac, you have Halloween, and then of course Black Christmas and some other movies. But there wasn't a lot of stuff like this. So, and this, again, so it is very, at the time was very fresh. So, but now we see this now and we know where it's going, right? Because we've seen 20,000 movies like this.
Yeah, that's funny that you just mentioned that. So a film like Black Christmas, that gets a lot of accolades and a lot of people give it, say it's like, oh, this is a great slasher film. I'm gonna say, and I don't care what anyone thinks here.
Hey,
I'm
hey,
gonna say compared to this film, I think a film like Black Christmas is boring compared
compared to
to
this.
this,
Yeah.
because yeah, that there's definitely some cool stuff, some cool cinematography, some creepy stuff in Black Christmas, but there's no action. I think where this film does well is there is a lot of action. I think for like half the movie they get the pacing right, and then maybe half the movie they don't. But I think when they do get it right, it's really works. Like it's moving fast. There are kills. You're kind of like, oh man, what's gonna happen next? And then they cut it with like some sort of like aggressive males trying to get laid or trying to go skinny dipping and things like that. And these are things that honestly we're used to in slasher films. So it fits kind of like right in. And then when they get killed, you're like, there you go, asshole. I knew you were, a dick. You deserve it. So I mean, there were a lot of things that for me really work as far as a slasher in this film. And I don't know why it doesn't get compared to like those other films, especially if I was going to compare it directly to like something like Black Christmas, which I mean to me is slow compared
It's
to
really
this.
slow. Yeah, like I would say I prefer this over Black Christmas. Absolutely. If you take out like the history of the fact that that came first and it was,
Yeah.
I like this better than that. I like this better than the original Friday the 13th. I think it's more graphic. I think the kills are better. It's more interesting to me. I like it better personally. I don't like it better than say Maniac, or I wouldn't say I like it better than Friday the 13th Part 2, but I think it's close to Friday the 13th Part 2. It's pretty solid. I do, again, I wish the pacing was better towards the end, but other than that, like I think it stands up. And I think again, you look at it now and you see like, oh, this looks so familiar. Again, there's the scene where the campers are all sitting around a fire and they're telling like a ghost story, and then someone jumps out as like a prank. You've seen it a million times, but maybe this is one of the first times you've seen it in a movie, right? Like it wasn't like the trope didn't exist then. Clearly they are like they're inspired by other movies or trying to make something very similar to movies that were already in the marketplace. But I do think it's original in its own mind, and I like the fact that it's really the genesis for the idea came after the legend of the Cropsey, which was like a real kind of boogeyman around New York. And I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary Cropsey. It's really
I
good.
I did. Funny thing, and I want to detract from your story right now, so I'll
No,
just say
go
it
for
real
it.
quick. It actually Cropsey was literally the first video I've ever watched on Netflix.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm so like people. I got to go way back here. I had
Yeah.
Netflix when they used to send me DVDs. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like when that was gone and I had to like get the streaming service, and I'm like, streaming, man, what is this all about? And I'm like, I'm gonna stream something today, and I watched Cropsey, which is crazy.
Yeah, I love that documentary. I watched it. I actually have seen it multiple times because
Oh wow.
it's really enjoyable to me. I love true crime though, so look, yeah, this movie does have it all. It has again one of the longest shower scenes I've ever seen in a movie. Like,
That shower though, man. I don't even understand how there was a shower scene. For anyone who wants to know, it's like three sheets and a hose, and everyone's taking a shower like, they're in a spa. And, like I don't even think it was hot water. I think it was probably like faucet water that was like ice cold. But it was a good scene though. But it just I'm just like I'm yelling at the TV. I'm like, that shit's cold, man. And there's like the pervert guy who's like trying, and that's the first thing I thought
Woodstock,
of.
right? That was
Yeah,
Woodstock.
no, that was the guy who makes it basically to the end.
Oh,
Albert,
oh
I think
yeah,
his name
yeah,
is.
yeah.
I think
Right,
his name
right,
is.
right.
think it's Alfred. Alfred's his name. Yeah. And he's like the peeping Tom. Yeah, definitely a funny scene, where he's like kind of just like, oh, I was trying to scare her. It's like, yeah, all right, bro. Sure you were, but it's like I feel like, if you and I were at that camp, we'd have been like, it's tip patrol, baby. Party hats, 2 o'clock, Rich. That's probably what I would have been doing. I think one of the funny things is which kind of sets the tone for this film. So it opens, again, you said with like, the there's like that kill, where he's burnt and now he's in the hospital. And I don't know why they decide they want to show like the hospital scene where Cropsy's in the hospital, but basically it's like this dumb 3 minute scene where there's like a new doctor and some sort of orderly, and they're talking about Cropsy, and he has to show the doctor. He's like, you got to see this guy. And the doctor's like, what? He's like, no, this guy is gross, man. You got to see him. And he's like, yeah, this guy is like a burnt Big Mac. And I was like,
That's funny.
I was like, what, man? It's like, oh no, are you gonna ruin Big Macs for me? And then he like sticks his arm out and he grabs the doctor, and you can see it's all like gross and mushy. And I was like, fuck, man, I gotta stick with Whoppers now because like all of a sudden I'm like, man, what a strange like comparison where he just calls him a burnt Big Mac. And
That's funny.
I'm like, did they write this scene just to say that line? Because it doesn't do anything for the film. It doesn't push the plot along. It doesn't do anything because the next scene, he's at the hospital and he's with the hooker. So I don't even know why they put that scene in, but I was like, I think they put it in for that one liner. I think that's what they did it for, and it stuck with me.
Yeah. Look, I don't know why they do this scene where he kills the prostitute. It's a cool scene, but like it doesn't make any sense that like before I go to this camp to kill everybody, I'm gonna just kill a random woman in like New York City. Like it's like, but I do think they were trying to like say, okay, well, Maniac did this, so like how do we do that? Like I think they were trying to like I mean, they made this movie to make. I know they make all movies to make money, but I think this was like we got to make a quick buck because horror movies are trending, and like how do we do this? And they were smart, but yeah, it's weird. It's just weird that it didn't ever catch on. And like horror fans know this movie, but outside of horror fans, like people don't know this movie. And I do think they should. Like, is it perfect? No. Like, could it be a lot better? Yeah. But for 1981, it's a pretty damn good slasher.
1981, 5 kids get on a raft trying to paddle back home. They see a canoe. Anyone watching this, we're all thinking the same thing. They're gonna hop on this canoe and they're gonna paddle their way back to camp and everything's gonna be fine. I'm gonna say that scene was absolutely shocking and probably one of the goriest scenes filmed in the 80s, I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
because like, what happens during that scene is incredible. And they do that quite a bit in this film where it's not really a jump scare, it's more like a surprise kill, where he's like and they do this like in Friday the 13th a lot, like like we talked about it, where Jason's hiding underneath the blanket and he just like pops out. Well, here the killer pops out of a canoe. I mean, how long was that guy waiting there? Like fucking days. And he's like, all right, here, I'm just gonna, someone's gonna come by. And I mean, when he pops out, oh my
It's
God, man.
mayhem.
There is like, I mean, there's throats being slit, fingers being cut off, arms flying around. He hacks up this boat so bad, and all the kids in one shot. And then I'm gonna say one of the most brutal moments of this film is when that raft comes floating back to like where the other campers are, and they're like, "Oh, I think they're back. Is everyone okay?" And then they swim out to it, and they just see like arms and legs, and that was just so morbid and gory. I was like, "Oh man!" But it was just another opportunity for them to show like the blood and the great effects that they did in this film, because like honestly all the kills, I think they hit every single one of the kills hit in this film. I mean, they looked great.
So speaking of Jason hiding under the blanket and popping up, and yeah, in Friday the 13th too, that is a really scary scene because you think it's like a dead body or something, and it's Jason. The most ridiculous part of this movie, I will say, is I don't remember the character's name, but he's like the blonde, like badass, quote unquote guy.
Glazer.
Glazer, he has sex, and it's like he's like a minute man. He
Two
comes in
minute
like
man. Yeah,
two
he's 2 minute.
seconds, right?
He talked a good game though, right? He was talking
Oh,
game.
I thought this guy was gonna lay pipe, but he doesn't. And he anyway, he goes off. They're in the middle of the woods. He fucks this girl, and he goes off to do something. I forget what, but he ends up being gone like a long time for whatever reason. He gets sidetracked or whatever. When he finally comes back, the woman that he had sex with has been murdered by Cropsy, and she's like, he comes over and sees her kind of like under the blanket, just sees like the top of her head, and kind of peels down the blanket a little bit. You see her face, and it's clear that she's dead. But then, like, Cropsy's under the blanket with her. And, like, how did you not see a whole nother body, like, right next to her?
I
Because all of a
mean,
sudden, all you see is, like, the garden shears, like, come right for, like, this guy's face. And it's just, I had to rewind it. I was like, wait, he was there? Like, how did you not notice that? It's so ridiculous.
I mean, I'm going to say
Don't
this.
defend that. That was
No,
ridiculous.
I am going to defend. I think this guy was so horned up, and he's thinking that this girl's like, she's naked, and he's like, all right, man, I'm gonna take another pass at this.
Round
So
two.
he didn't even give a shit. He wasn't even really looking, man. He was just looking to peel that blanket off, and get back to work and
But he's slow about it. He takes his
try
time.
to
He doesn't
redeem
rip it off.
himself.
He doesn't slow. No, there's no way you would have seen a second body under that. That was it's a sheet too. It's not even a blanket. It's like a sheet. So that was a little like some bad writing right there. I was just like, oh, okay,
Well,
I
well,
guess.
hold on. All right, I'll
All right,
give
go
I'll give
ahead.
it one more. It was dark when he came
Not
back.
dark.
It
That dark.
was kind of dark out, and
Yeah,
maybe
he didn't
just
have a flashlight, so it wasn't that
He
dark.
didn't see the shadows, I don't know.
I mean, the kill is brutal, but like
I thought that was
it's
awesome
silly.
kill. That was actually one of my favorites because I was laughing at this guy Glazer the whole time, and he's definitely kill bait. The second you see this guy, you hate him. He's like the bully. He's bothering everybody. He's just like an asshole, and he's super like aggressive with women. And he's like, man, I'm gonna bone you. It's gonna be so good. He's like, I'm a porn star. It's gonna be amazing. And then right after he bones, all he does after that is apologize. And his whole character changes. Now he's apologetic and he's like sensitive and he's like, oh, I'm gonna leave and get some matches so we can have a fire and it'll be warm. And then like his whole attitude changed because I think he thought that Sally was gonna like go around back to
Of
the
course she
camp
was.
and
Yeah.
she was gonna like that shit was gonna circulate. And it wasn't even only the girls finding out, but it was like Dave, Jason Alexander's character. He was gonna find out. That guy had a super big mouth, so he was gonna tell everybody what happened. So I mean, it might have been better off for everyone that they just died.
Yeah, if I was him, I would have wanted to have died because
Would have
like
died of shame.
I would have jumped in the fucking lake and I would have drowned myself if I was him. If I like talked all that game and then lasted 30 seconds, I would have definitely killed myself. I don't want the whole camp knowing I'm a minute man. Come on.
I mean, it was so good because like she didn't even want. I mean, I felt like she reluctantly had sex with this guy, and then when he was done, she's like, "What?" like that's it. Like even though she didn't really want to, she still kind of wanted to go a little longer. And so, I mean, that's how bad it was that even someone who kind of like maybe wanted to do it was just kind of like completely unsatisfied by the experience. So I think that was funny. I mean, to me, that was like the highlight of the film for me was like those two characters because I just thought they were just like so funny and like, this whole time, she was the one in the shower. Everyone's trying to hook up with her. This guy's like, like A-type kind of like the bully, and he's like, don't even talk to my girl. It's not even really his girl. And then he finally talks her into it, and he blows it. Blows
Oh
it
man.
bad.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so look, I don't know, man. Like the movies, it's worthwhile. If you're a horror fan, if you're into slasher movies, I think you should definitely like at least check this one out and give it a chance. It's a bummer that again, would you like you can't really do I guess you could always do a sequel, but they just never did, and I just never got around to it. So what we do on this show is we do rate every movie from a scale of 0 to 5, and we do a little bit of drinking, where the number of bloody knives I give a movie are the number of seconds Jerry needs to drink for, and vice versa. So I'll go first. Look, I give it a 3.5. I think it's a good slasher movie. I wish the last 20 minutes were a little tighter. I wish it had a different ending, but I like the movie. I'm gonna forget about it, and I'm gonna rewatch it in a year and be like, oh yeah, why don't I watch that more? But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. How about you?
I'm a little conflicted here. I'm trying to think if I'm going to go higher or lower than like what my expectations were. Yeah, I'm probably going to forget about this too, and I don't know why. I want this to be a film that I watch a lot. Fuck it. I'm going for it, man. I'm going for it. I'm giving it a 4, man. I like this film. I think it's a really, really good film. I think for the most part, I mean, as far as a slasher, a 1981 slasher, this is better than literally any other film in 81. I think, So
Yeah.
I think it's good. Like you kind of said it. Like, would I rather watch this or the first Friday the 13th? I think I'd rather watch this. I just think it's a better movie. It's more entertaining. It's funnier. It
It's more
moves
entertaining.
quicker.
I don't know if it's better, but
Yeah.
it's more entertaining. And you know what? I think it is. If this would have had good sequels, I
Yeah.
think we would like it a lot more, right? Because like Friday the 13th 2, we love that movie, but we also
Yeah.
get into Friday the 13th mode, right? Where we're like, I just want
Yeah.
to watch Friday the 13th movies, and maybe I'll put that one on. Maybe I'll put on part four. Maybe like this, it's like I'm not just like, oh, let me put on The Burning, right? Whereas sometimes we just want to watch a Jason movie, or like Halloween. Sometimes you just want to watch Michael Myers, and like it doesn't exactly matter which one, and you just land on the ones that you
The
like
Busta
more.
Rhymes one, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? And sometimes you fuck around, you watch like Friday part 7 or 9, and you're just like
What am I doing? But like,
but it's there. It's a part of that universe. And I think if they didn't even have to keep the killer, they could have just had like the kid Alfred get all fucked up and he becomes the killer and he
they could have
stalks
done
the
anything.
camp.
I mean, look, Friday 13th 2 is not the killer in Friday 13th Part 1, so they could have
Exactly.
done whatever they wanted
The,
with it.
the camp counselor brutally murdered someone. I mean, maybe he's all fucked up now and he could have became the killer. They definitely could have took this in different directions. I'm not familiar with the Weinsteins. The only thing I know is what I heard, about them, with the all
Or at
the
least the one,
incidents.
Harvey.
But
You
I
didn't hear
didn't.
anything
Yeah,
about Bob, but
but I don't know anything about them, so I don't know which direction they went into. I think they went to comedy or something. I don't know much about like their careers and the type of films that they made. I
they went
guess.
more. They started going more like I would say art house, like and
Did they? I don't. I
they,
don't
they
know
did
anything.
they did a lot. I mean, they launched Miramax after this movie, right?
Oh,
So they
okay,
had
got it.
all of
Okay.
those movies. So it's everything from like the Jay and Silent Bob movies to like I think not Scream, but like they did a lot of like stuff like that. So like
Okay.
they had a really big like variety of films. But yeah, they were known for like big indie movies for a long time. But
Yeah, so
the Tarantino movies, I think, are Weinstein movies.
Okay,
So, like,
so they weren't really thinking about this, and that's too bad because it's definitely
They
like
moved
something that
on.
probably
Yeah,
just-
they moved on.
It definitely got left behind, and probably no one ever thought to like, yeah, let me pick this up and do something. Now would be too late. It would totally be too late now. But I mean, honestly, 1984 would have been a great time, for part two to come out or something like that. But yeah, it's forgotten. I wish it wasn't. I wish there was more, but for now, I'm giving it 4.
yeah,
Excuse
nice.
me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so that's it. So you're gonna drink for 3.5 seconds. I'm gonna drink for 4. Let's cheers to that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. That's The Burning. So I was just looking up Scream really quick.
Okay.
So I think Scream was like adjacent to the Weinsteins. I think they had something to do with it. But anyway, like long story short. So yeah, that's The Burning. Look, we highly suggest you check it out. It's on like Tubi and Pluto and basically any streaming platform. You could watch it for free. You could follow us on Instagram at horrorheadspodcast. Email us to horrorheadspodcast@gmail.com. And that's it. Yeah, for everybody. Like, thanks for checking out another episode of Horror Shots. And let us know what other movies we should kind of talk about on here.
Hell yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.